So cute. It's actually sometimes good comic relief
sweetie.
to have a dog in your video.
Yeah, and something to touch. I don't know what to do with my hands. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm sitting down with my sister Chloe and husband Steve to talk about why and how we started our new apparel company, Balance Athletica. About last September, I came back from the Olympia and I just had this moment where I was like, I feel like there's such a gap in the fitness industry that people aren't making specific clothes that A, fit all body types, B, can be worn in and out of the gym, and C, I really have always wanted to be in business with my sister. We've always wanted to do something, whether that be a meal prep company or supplement company. We've always wanted to do something together. So I came back from the Olympia and I was like, Steve, I think we should create our own brand. And so I was not thinking big at the time. I was like, let's just do a collection of crop tops to start and put the word balance on it, because as you guys know, I was really transitioning into being more balanced in my lifestyle in a lot of different areas. And then Steve was like, no, let's create the whole brand and call it Balance. So that's kind of where the word balance came about. And as you guys know, us three are all about balance in terms of nutrition, fitness, life experiences. It just really resonates with us and resonates with a lot of you who are trying to find your own balance in life. That's where the word balance came to fruition. Now I'd like to start on the steps we took in order to create this business and get to where we're at currently. The number one obstacle in any business, I would say, is cash flow. You need to have cash flow in order to get off the ground. I had already had my online coaching business. I was already really well established in the social media area to where we could pull from my business to start Balance.
So we were fortunate enough to have Taylor's established business fund our startup and the cash flow from the beginning in order to have that financial foundation to purchase the product that we needed and just kind of get things rolling from the start.
We wanted to maintain control throughout. We didn't want to have investors and people kind of telling us what direction to go, what to do with our money and with our vision. So we found it really important that Taylor had established herself and we could pull from that to build our own business from the ground up, all on our own. As Taylor mentioned, we did see a huge gap in the market, missing out on inclusivity, designing clothes for just a certain body type, and also making clothes that were really high quality, but also really, really high prices. We felt that we could deliver it at lower prices with higher quality, more unique colors, and make them flattering on all different types of body types. So the second step in starting a business would be to fill a gap, whether you're creating something that solves a problem or you're filling a gap that has just not yet been filled in your market. That's kind of the direction to start out into.
So once we found out that we wanted to name our brand Balance, obviously that's a very common name, so we had to cover ourselves on a legal standpoint. That means trademarking both the brand name and any logos associated with the brand. And what we had to do at that point was find an attorney that was able to take care of that for us. And it was a pretty long process. So I think it may have taken around 2 to 4 months to get our name verified and trademarked so that nobody else could use Balance Athletica, and just to make sure that we weren't stepping on anybody else's toes as well. And once we had that figured out, that was kind of a relief knowing that we could in fact name our brand rather, Balance Athletica. At that point, once we had started making product, we were obviously gonna use a brand logo rather than Balance Athletica. And as you guys know, this is our current logo. We had to make sure that this was appropriate and okay to use. We weren't going to be in any legal trouble using it. So we were able to trademark that as well on several different items.
The next topic that we want to cover is conflict resolution. People ask us all the time, what is it like to work with your family? Are you guys constantly butting heads? And the truth is that it's really nice to work together because we can say what we need to say and there's always really open lines of communication, which is super important. So there are two really important things when it comes to conflict resolution. Just know, first of all, it will come up. There isn't a question of if it'll come up, but it's rather the question of when and how you're going to deal with it. Just know that it's you and your partner or your team versus the problem, and it's not you versus each other, and that's a really good way to solve it.
And another thing to do with conflict resolution is that you need to have, you need to be compliant on a legal status as well. So what we have in place is called an operating agreement, which is just a legal document written up by our lawyer that we all came to terms with, and it basically just kind of goes over all of our responsibilities, anything that has to do with if any of us decide to step away from the business, and that's just to be covered legally, and just so that there's no miscommunication between any of us at all as to how we're going to operate the business.
In any business, especially when starting a business, I think it's really important to have a mentor. We're fortunate enough that we have a dad who has built businesses for quite some time now, and he's really, really good at what he does. So we have our dad as our mentor because he's just so knowledgeable on a ton of different areas that we otherwise would not know without learning through experience. So it's really important to have a mentor. If you guys can find one, that's so helpful. Also, always be aware of your mentor's intentions. Again, luckily we have our dad. His intentions are good, but just be aware on who you choose as a mentor. But it is really important because otherwise we would not know what to do in some situations because we're so new at, I guess, creating this business. So
Definitely.
having a mentor is big.
And you want to make sure that relationship with your mentor, like you said, they have the right intentions, but it's a good, healthy relationship, because if they are, rather than trying to help you, just tell you what to do, that could really guide your business the direction that you don't want it to go.
Kind of like take my advice or leave my advice type of deal.
Mentality.
Yeah.
Versus wanting something from you, or
Right.
wanting something from you in return for their services.
Exactly. Right. So, mentor. I
Beautiful.
conclude. Okay, so hot. I asked you guys on my Instagram what you guys want to know about Balance and how we started, why we started, etc. So we're gonna take the most commonly asked questions and answer them for you guys. So the first one is going to be about how long it took to start Balance. We started in September of 2017, again, right after the Olympia. That's when we formed our corporation, and from there, we then developed a relationship with some manufacturers, and then went through about like 10 samples to get to the perfect product for our first collection, which was the Outlander collection. So it took so long. I mean, the first sample we got was
It's like
hilarious.
leather. It looked like leather.
So bad.
Honestly, like, I think we're gonna do like a looking back on being in a year of business, and we'll show you guys kind of the samples we went through, but
It's not pretty.
It was discouraging.
It
Very,
was so discouraging. We would get these samples,
It seemed hopeless.
Yeah.
for months. I mean, it took close to a year to finally get what we were looking for, what we were asking for. So that's the thing. Like, if you guys are trying to start your own thing, no matter what business, don't ever give up on your dream. Just have a lot of patience and grit, because eventually it will come into fruition if you are working hard at it every single day, which is what we did. So we got all of these samples. We nailed down the sample finally in about like March, and then we had to nail down the colors, which was in May. And then we finally launched, like, I think last week of July. So we launched July 2018.
At that time, Chloe was still back at home in Indiana, so it was just Taylor and I here. And the pre-launch, we went home actually in July, and it went really well, really successful. And we came back home and had no place to really like store the clothes that were coming in. And luckily, Chloe had just leased a place, and she wasn't moving here yet, but she did have a garage. So we worked out of her garage. It was the messiest launch I've ever seen, but it
Crazy.
ended up working out because, I mean, I think it was 3 of us, and we got all the orders out over the weekend from the garage. And then eventually when did we move into our warehouse?
October.
Yeah, after one more launch in the garage and a much tidier launch with like shelves and stuff, we ended up moving to a warehouse where we're at now.
Yeah. So the next question is, what makes Balance unique among thousands of activewear brands? Which is a really good question. It's something that we were kind of worried about coming into it. Is the market too saturated? But for one, we felt like we really did fill a market gap like we talked about earlier. And two, we strive to form a community of people. So we aren't just a brand, we are forming a culture of seeking your balance in life and just bringing people together that have the same kind of values and mindset. So just being an inclusive brand, which can be very, very rare in the activewear industry. And again, just being a culture.
You guys have asked what's the hardest part about starting up and running your own business, and I think that all of us could give a different answer. But mine would be really just figuring out things as you go. There's no handbook to look at how to start your own business. Maybe there is out there, but there's no cookie cutter process to it. It's just really going through everything and kind of like scoping in on it and figuring out how you can improve and what mistakes you're making along the way. So I think that's the biggest challenge that we face, and especially scaling now that we're literally doubling units each launch and we're getting into really big numbers, and that's going to be a really big challenge.
Taylor, what would you say is your personal hardest part?
Being that we are so involved in social media, anyone can say anything. So although like 95% or maybe even like 99% is super positive and loving, you still have that 1% that will say something negative, which for me, when I read those things, it really gets to me because this is your baby, it's your brand, and you work so hard to make everything right and keep everyone happy. So when you see or hear negative things, that to me just like hits me in my heart.
For sure. I think for me, the hardest part, and I think for all of us, is that we never put work down because we are our own boss, and because like Taylor said, it is our baby. We care so much about it. We're never not working. So I feel like every hour of the day, we wake up thinking about balance and we go to sleep working on balance. And so I think the hardest part for me is just to find a time to set it aside and not be focused solely on the business. But I think entrepreneurs find that in their first year starting out, that they are just constantly working.
That's a good interview question with a job. It's like, man, I just worked too hard.
Work too hard.
We just work so hard on this.
A positive negative.
Work so hard on the brand. It's just so tiring sometimes.
So exhausting.
Never taking a break.
Yeah. The next question is, what has surprised you most about starting Balance? For me personally, I would say that it has been so intuitive for us. Like Steve said, there's no recipe for success when you're starting a new business. But for us, we're really just following our intuition and what feels right, and it has brought us to a really good place. So that's it for me.
I would say for me,
What surprised you most?
About starting Balance. The biggest thing that has surprised
She turned.
The biggest surprise to me about starting, right? So the biggest surprise to me has been the growth that we've experienced. Literally doubling every launch it's been crazy, and just to see everyone's reactions to everything, like Chloe will design something and then we'll put it out not knowing what to expect, and then just seeing your guys' reactions and positivity and love and everything, that's the biggest surprise to me. You always hope that it's going to be the best thing out there. It's not a sure thing until you actually see it. So that's the biggest surprise, is like the growth and the amount of love.
I'm with both of them. Like those two things have really surprised and shocked me. Like didn't really know what to expect when we started it or the response we were gonna get, but it's been overwhelming, and like we're really grateful for you guys for really just trusting in us and like being a part of the brand and just being invested in us. But one of the biggest things, like besides those two, that's really surprised me is that there's 6 people on our team. That's it. It's us 3 and then 3 others. And just kind of like how we've, adapted and kind of molded into roles within the company where we're all playing our part, and things are just going very smooth, like really smooth since, I think we kind of have settled into those roles over the past few months, but it's really noticeable now.
It takes some time to, when you're starting a business, you can plan everything out to a T, but you're really not gonna know what people's positions are, like what people's roles are, how everything's gonna pan out, what we're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. You can kind of plan in your head, but it never turns out that way. So just really rolling with the punches and figuring it out as we go.
Yeah, definitely. We have a very diverse team with very diverse backgrounds, and I think that's been really important so that everyone has a different perspective and we all bring something different to the table. So we started out doing one thing and then we found our strength and our talent in another thing, and that's been really important to have a lot of different perspectives.
Definitely.
Yeah, totally.
So people have been wondering if we're going to be making men's clothing, and the old rule is ladies first. So we had to make the ladies clothing first, and then the men have to wait a little bit, but we are doing men's clothing. We're working on it.
We're perfecting it.
Yeah, I am very particular about the type of clothes that I like to wear, and so are the other guys on our team. So we're really working, and I'm being genuine about this. We are really trying to make these clothes like the best. Just like the women's clothing. We're trying to be the best quality, the best fit, the most comfortable, just all of it. That's what we're really striving for, and that's kind of why it takes a little bit longer. So the process is a little drawn out, but we are doing men's clothing, and we're hoping for around summer. That's when our first men's line is going to be out. Hopefully. Don't hold me to it.
Very excited.
The next question is, what is our long-term goal for Balance? Our long-term goal is to continue to always be innovative with our designs and fit, etc., but mainly to, again, create this culture of inclusivity and help women and men feel confident in their own skin. When they wear these clothes, we want them to feel the best ever.
We also want to develop an international presence by the end of this year, as well as doubling each launch as 2019 goes on. So those are more of our business goals. And
we have some other things that are coming out too in 2019 that aren't only athleisure wear, so I can't give it away, but we're just going to be more than just like the typical athleisure wear. When people think Balance, they're going to think so much more than just a clothing line. And the whole point in starting Balance and creating Balance is to help you guys find your own balance in life with nutrition and fitness and life experiences, because that means so much to us personally that we hope that you guys find your balance as well. So just really creating this kind of culture of people that are trying to achieve balance. All my life I lived in such non-balance. I was very strict to myself with nutrition and fitness and just life experiences overall. So to me, balance is a lifestyle, and balance to me is so much more than just a word.
Well, at the end of the day, we're just so grateful that we're able to do this together as a family, and you know, we're best friends, but we're also family. So it's awesome to just start a business together and be able to do that every single day and just feel like we're pursuing our purpose. And that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for your support and your love, and it's so constant, and we are just so grateful for all of you.
Thank you guys for watching. I'm sure there's going to be so much more that we learn along the way, and we're just now beginning to scratch the surface of the things that I think that Balance is capable of. And I know with expansion means more things for us to learn and more experiences for us to share with you. So in the future, hopefully we'll do another one of these. But for now, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been kind of fun reflecting on this stuff, just going over these questions, and I hope you guys enjoyed.
Without you guys, this would not be possible. So we truly just love and appreciate every single one of you who has supported us along the way since day one. We love you. Wait, please be sure to like and subscribe down below for more.
Why are your hands so clammy?
She's sweaty.
I'm sweating. Yay, we did it!